All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go through the documents that you've requested and we're going to utilize for either you or your client. And what we're trying to do here is we're using a quitclaim deed to take possession of the title so that we can negotiate on the behalf of ourselves through the short sale, so we don't have to include the seller in every conversation on the phone with a third-party authorization that potentially could get lost, and all the other headaches that the bank is putting up as obstacles to delay, or I would say not necessarily intentionally bureaucratically to make it difficult, but they essentially, if anyone's ever done a short sale, know that you don't know who to email it, you don't know how to email them, you send some documents, they tell you they need more, and it just turns into a huge problem. So what we found is if we take the deed, then they no longer can say, hey, we can't talk to you, we have to talk to the seller, because our response is, we are the owner. The power of attorney is utilized for mortgage and insurance and other things that we need to pay on the behalf of the mortgage holder, because the deed and the mortgage holder, the mortgage are different. A mortgage is referred to either as a mortgage in some states or a deed of trust. A deed of trust is not a deed, it's simply the name of a mortgage, or an IOU to the bank. Quitclaim quits the claim of the seller and deeds it over to somebody else. So they have a deed and they're quitting their claim on it and basically selling the rights to the next person, or assigning the rights in this case. So the reason we need a third-party authorization is for other things that will not be covered by any of this stuff. I get it just because it's helpful for other people that are working with us who are not me, because I have to sign the third-party authorization for the other people that are helping us do administrative work on the short sale. The listing agent commission is basically for on-market properties that have an agent. If you're an agent and this video is aimed at you and not at the seller, you asked for clarification on what we're trying to do. We have a portion of it that will define your commission structure, your concession structure, and you'll be able to fill that out, 1, 2, or 3, whatever your listing agreement suggested with your seller. We have nothing to do with this. We're simply documenting it so we can get you paid on the HUD settlement statement. If you're married and your title and your name are different for whatever reason, you got married after you took possession of the property, or you got divorced and you still have the former last name but the title is on your original maiden name or something, this will all be helpful to get you through this. So I'm just going to do a mock one. So for the seller, I'm going to put my TC, my administrator. She's going to be talking to a lot of you anyways. I'm a licensed agent in California, so I'll be the listing agent for some of these. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the parcel number, right? And I'll have these set up in the template. As I go through things, I'll add them and keep updating the templates, but in the moment, it's pretty much probably the only thing that's wrong with this one. What we do is we put the parcel number just so it identifies and matches with both the legal description and the property address, because as you know, mistakes happen, but when you have 2 out of 3 that are correct, they assume that you're correct. And we'll probably get an addendum to address whatever it's needing to be fixed, but we don't have to redo the whole form. So what we're doing here is we're basically saying that you quitclaim the deed to Anchor Offers, and that the address is, 123 Main Street, the seller selling. What we're going to put here as let's say that's 123 Main Street. Then we're just going to put 123 and then today's date, which is 10/27/24. So this is going to be the new land trust, 123 Land Trust UAD 10/27/24. And then what we're going to do is we're basically going to put the county and the state, or wherever you're at, where you're getting this thing notarized, the legal description, the address, 123 Main Street, Nowhereville, California, whatever. Here, there's going to be the grantor, the seller. I'm going to put the seller's name, sign there. We need the witness and a notary. So typically the notary will be one of the witnesses and the other witness will be an employee. I like to use UPS Store. because they're cheap. It's $15, and they'll do everything for $15. So it's easy. They're always open. Super piece of cake to get it done there. Print their name and their business address, state and county of the store, the date, by whomever. Signature of them. They'll have a stamp typically. So sometimes they'll just mark that out and put their stamp over here somewhere. And they'll put whether you produce the information, or if it's a bank, sometimes they'll say personally known. Type of identification, then the passport, driver's license, whatever. Personal address. So when we get into the power of attorney, the reason we need a power of attorney is so that we can do everything we need to do as if we were you for this property. Now, what we cannot do is open a bank account. What we cannot do is modify anything that's going on with your bank or anything that's not related to this property. So you're going to put the property address, so it'll be limited to the property, your name. I'm going to be the power of attorney that you're going to assign. I'll be able to do any kind of quit claims back to you if we decide that something needs to be done for whatever reason later. I'll be able to call the mortgage company and get our company, notecollection.com, or whoever we're using as a servicing company to pay the mortgage on your behalf. Draws out of our company, pays directly ACH to the company that's owed money. And we'll be able to set all that stuff up ourselves so we can maintain the payments. Again, grantor is the seller. So in this case, it would be this person, right? Boom. And then, again, 2 witnesses. So if you're doing it there, you can strike out Florida if you're not in Florida. Third-party authorization allows us as a third party to use your last 4 digits of your social to do whatever we need to do to get the attorneys to be able to do what they need to do. So because they're not me, they don't have the power of attorney, they're still going to need it. And I may be the one who ends up signing this. It just depends on the situation, but we typically have you sign it, and then I'll sign it also in the event that something happens where we need something, and they're like, well, power of attorney doesn't work, we need to get this done quickly. We'll have a third-party authorization ready and signed just to push through and get their legal department to approve it. The number one problem with short sales, and when we're dealing with the bank's fiduciaries, like the attorneys are mills. They just go through and do thousands per month of short sales, foreclosure related filings, motions, fighting TROs, going to court, whatever they're doing. And we also are doing the same thing. We're starting the TROs to pause the auction. We're filing motions to get them to be interrupted. And so this will allow the attorneys and any kind of real estate agents, anything we're having someone do something on our behalf, reaching out to the mortgage, reaching out to whomever, they'll be able to use this form for that. Again, we use DocuSign just to confirm where to put the signature, but these do need to be wet signed. And might as well just get them, might as well get them notarized because we have all this stuff in one place. It's not going to cost you anything extra. We just have you slam them out. Listing agent commission, this is not for the seller. This is for the agent themselves so they can get paid. On a short sale specifically, the seller gets a relocation allowance, and the bank also pays the listing agent and the buyer's agent. So if the listing agent had a 6% listing, 3% goes to the buyer's agent, 3% to the seller's agent. The person who owns the house, the seller of 123 Main Street, who quitclaims it to us, will not have to pay a dime for anything. As a matter of fact, they get compensated for the moving expense, relocation assistance, up to from $3,000 to $10,000, I think is the range. It kind of depends on the circumstances, but they give you an offering. So on the net settlement statement, you have a HUD, just like any other closing statement, that'll be what the bank offers is their net settlement, and then all these other numbers will be calculated into that. And that's how we'll know if we can accept or reject the short sale and if we have to fight them again for a lower number. So what we're trying to do here is we're just trying to get prepared to give you the fastest results by hiring appraisers that will counter the appraiser that the bank hires. We're going to fight like hell to get the revision of value put in. If they give us, say, a $200,000 valuation and we think it's only worth $150, and to get it sold, it's going to have $150 or lower. So we keep, renegotiating. You have other liens, whatever, IRS stuff, all the things that we need to argue with them. That'll make a big difference. Name affidavit. What this is basically if you're married and you change your name, then this will identify um, whatever document's going to show that it's written a different way. We'll get that notarized. And then that's pretty much it. You know, it takes you about 2 minutes to do this. It's really simple. We're not trying to steal your identity. We're not trying to take over your life. We're simply trying to take possession of this deed, so it makes it harder for the bank to slow play us and end up with a foreclosure, because even if you get an approved short sale, the clock starts ticking, and if you don't sell it by a certain time, they close the file and foreclose on you. And the one thing we don't want is for the bank to get away with that crap. So we'll have this filled out, and we'll get the appraiser involved, and we'll beat the money out of the bank like a pinata and get this down as low as possible. And we're probably better at it than most, because you can roll over and just take a short sale, or you can continue to fight them. And the faster you can go back and do a revision of value, and the faster you can get things done before an auction, the better, because they're never going to give you your best deal on the first shot, and most people have no idea how the multipliers work and how to completely renegotiate the whole deal. So I have a lot of agents that, you know, they've told me basically there's no way we can come up with a better price than them, that we'll get the same number. And that's simply not true. You have to go and get an appraisal. Most things are based, the entire thing's based on the appraisal value. So if your appraisal is way different than their appraiser, then we have a different leg to stand on. And typically we do, because we're going to prepare it against as is value. And when our appraiser goes in there, he's going to know that he needs to be very critical of the condition of the like and like kind properties around. The repair value is another major obstacle. We go and spend a lot of money on inspections and things to get the inspector to do a thorough job, show any kind of damage and repair value, any kind of, what do you call it, a code violation, things that aren't right with the house that need to be rectified so FHA and other people can approve it. It's very, very important that you do not roll over and die on these short sales. You will never get the house sold, and if you do, that's awesome, but it's in no benefit whatsoever to the seller to get maximum value for the property. What you want is assurances. So what we're trying to do is make sure we get you the assurances that we're the buyer, and as the buyer, we'll go through and negotiate this thing as best we can, because we're the buyer. We want the best deal for ourselves, so we're going to make sure we get the best deal for ourselves, and we're going to pay you, and there's no reason to get in the way of getting paid for a buyer who takes care of their own business. So we already are taking deed. We already are the owners. All we need to do is just move quickly so that we have the biggest gap to do the most work in the shortest amount of time possible, and we do it with a legal team and a loss mitigation team. So unlike you, who's, you know, on the phone for 3 hours twice a week, and you're going crazy, and they're not answering your emails and not being specific, and they're telling you that somebody's going to get back to you and they never do, and blah, 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 all the headaches that come with short sales. We have people that are at the direct heads of these companies, and we can get past you in line while they're looking at 100, 200, 300 files, and yours is at the bottom. We have it filled out perfectly, and we get executed, and it's at the top and gone. If you've gone more than 60 days and you haven't gotten your short sale results, something's wrong. And if that's the case, we'd love to help you, and we'd love to be your buyer, most importantly. So once we do this well for you, I'm sure every foreclosure out there that ends up in short sale or short sale benefit them, you'll give us their files, and you'll be super excited, because no one wants to have a fail. No one wants to risk it, right? These people's houses and their livelihoods, their credit's all affected by this. There's no downside for them. They're going to get what they're going to get either way. So as long as they have a successful short sale, then they will in fact be able to process these. All right. If we buy it, we take over the deed and we process it in time before the auction, they will get paid their relocation fee. We will save their credit. You'll get your commission, and everyone will be happy. Do not risk rolling the dice on a short sale and getting a short sale approval, but not at a low enough number that any investor is going to want it. Very important. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Be happy to help you with very specific questions if you have a granular question. Again, we're not trying to do anything crazy. We're just trying to make sure that we're efficient. And what we found is, you know, sellers don't get to documents fast enough. Agents, you know, are busy. And this is a speed to lead game. If you do not get to this lead fast enough, they will go to foreclosure, and that's that. So we're happy to help you. We're happy to get you paid, and we're happy to get the seller their money.